Hi, in this video I'm going to give you the secret to becoming a pro musician. And I don't care if you're going to, make money doing that or you're just going to have fun doing that, but this is the path. And this is really two distinct paths. You can either go for be the eternal dabbler with guitar, having fun with it, playing music. It's not that this path is anywhere, lesser than the other path. It's just a different path. And you have to choose what result you want to get to, because there are two very distinct and very different paths here. And during this video, you're going to figure out what path you're on and whether or not you want to change your path. So what are these paths? Well, the first one is where we start out. We play a couple of songs, we get a couple of chords, and we can strum along, and we're having fun. And we get a real result. We play some real actual music. We learn 2 chords, or just one perhaps, and then suddenly we can play a song, so we can play real music. Or we learn a little classical piece and spell our way through that. And then when we're done doing that, a couple of weeks or even more, then we can play a real piece of music and the family can listen in and say, oh, you can play guitar now. And that's all really, really constructive and a really good idea in the beginning, because that motivates you to play another song and another song. If you stay on that path, you go on, you learn another song, you learn a riff then even, whatever it is, and you start learning soloing, and by the same token, by the same philosophy, you learn licks, of course. You learn little bits and pieces of solos. Sometimes you even spell your way through an entire solo, transcribed note for note, and you say, I want to learn that. And then you spend 1 or 2 years spelling your way, trying to, learn the techniques of that solo. And that's really the path here. You remain an outsider. You remain a person who looks into the music industry, who plays the stuff that other people play. I did this for the first 6 years of my development. And then suddenly, I changed directions. And this was not a conscious choice. This is not like I'm so intelligent, so I knew when to... It just happened. But I didn't really know how big a shift that really was. Because the shift was from being able to play other people's stuff to be able to create that kind of stuff, to create that solo. And that's a whole different world, because instead of learning stuff and focus on learning licks and solos and chords and riffs and play all kinds of stuff, you focus on learning the skills of creating, of playing, your picking technique, your sequences, everything you need, all the tools, all the skills that you need in order to be able to create what you have been playing before. So suddenly, when you've been traveling this other path for long, or just for some months, it suddenly seemed absurd to sit down and try and learn a whole solo or a whole piece of music that contains even hundreds of little challenges. Picking challenges, outside, inside string shifting, fretting challenges. It's just a huge challenge that you can have fun with, for a couple of years, or even 3 or 4 or 5, right? Because that's your little project. But if your aim is to become a well-rounded, a really good musician who can not only play stuff, but who can be in a band, get great ideas, compose stuff, come up with a great riff, or even write a whole song from the bottom, or even arrange a whole solo, a whole song. If you can't wait to get started on that, and you're on this path, you need to make a change. Because this path will not lead you there. You cannot learn enough solos and play enough songs to suddenly be able to do this on your own. A few people can. Even, and the simpler the music is in its construction, the more the likelihood that you will actually learn it just by monkey see, monkey do. See, there's this principle that I discovered years ago. If you take on one challenge, it might be a picking challenge, whatever it is, then conquering that and mastering that challenge is going to take you this much time. Then most people think that if I take on 2 challenges at one time and I divide my practicing time up into 2, then it's going to take me twice as long to reach the same, to master both. But that's not true. It's going to take you, and exponentially, it's going to take you 3 or 4 times as long. For every challenge you put on top of the other, the time that you are actually going to use in order to master all of these challenges simultaneously, because you split your practice time into little bits and pieces, it's going to increase exponentially. And so that's why people, work on the same solo for years without really getting it. It's because you need to work on the basic skills of playing that solo. And so over here, we have a licks-based soloing approach because that's the fastest way to sounding like you have it under control. But it's also the least satisfying. Over here, we have the sequence-based soloing approach, and that takes longer to learn. It takes longer to get those sequences and to learn to combine them. But when you can do it, my friend, it's a totally different world, a totally different experience. Suddenly you're creating music in the moment. You can do the thing that the guys do that are up there. When I saw that trio of John McLaughlin and Paco de Lucia and Al Di Meola, I wanted to do that. I wanted to understand, how do they write music like that with all those weird chords? How do you build a picking technique like that? And the worst possible way to attack that is to take one of these pieces and then just stop playing them. That strategy will fail, and it will fail greatly, because that's simply too much. You cannot handle that. You cannot take, one of these pieces and then play the theme and the solo and expect to be able to do that ever in your lifetime if you do not focus on the skills beneath it. But the opposite is also true. If you focus on the skills, if you focus on learning the ingredients of that music and the tools you need, then you will absolutely get to that skill level. It's not talent. It's an approach. It's a different strategy.